told you I was gonna get in the family and all of that, and I got a little sidetracked. Things happen. You know how that should be, man. Life. What they say, life get the life in, and you already know. But I'm here, as promised, to give you exactly what I told y'all I was gonna give y'all. We're gonna talk about family, right? So before we get into the family topic, I told y'all also as well that it was lit with the red pill weirdos, right? So I know a lot of people had heard me say that, and they like, all right, Grams, why would you, a man, have an issue with people that are expressing concern for men's issues? And I'm like, see, what you got to understand is this, right? What makes the red pill rhetoric appealing, right, is this, right? If you talk to 100 dudes, right, you're going to get 100 stories of a chick in there that did them wrong from their perspective. That's important to understand that that's their perspective, right? If you talk to the chick, she's going to give you probably a whole nother story. There lies the gender wars perspective, right? Being that we never really going to get the real stories of what's going on in these relationships and what's being said and what's not being said and what's being there, because we ain't even there, right? You ain't going to really know nothing. You know what I'm saying? You just like, all right. Is bitches wildin'? I don't know. Is niggas out here bugging? I don't know. Because if you listen to both points, it's like, yo, every time you hear an argument that's going on with the gender wars, if you are listening to it unbiasedly, you're going to be like, you know what? That makes sense, though. And then you're going to be like, you know what? That makes sense, too. So now you sitting there listening and you like, aren't you a man, so you're gonna pick sides? I'm a man, so I'm going with the men. The problem with that is when I watch the gender wars, I'm a black man. So when I hear you, they all right, so now I'm gonna play this clip, right? So when I play this clip, you're gonna understand what I'm talking about, right? So you'll hear this dude talking, and he's a black man, right? So you go, all right, you're two black men, and we have similar viewpoints. The problem is how society views what we are, right? And you got to go watch this whole conversation on the Anton Daniels channel, right? Because when you watch it, then you'll see what I'm talking about. You would see the viewpoint of how the lack of respect coming from the women, right? And they think that they're not, like, so like, or they're patronizing him to a degree where he's like trying to brush it off, but he's really not trying to brush it off. They're calling him a lame, and he's telling them like, you calling me a lame, and they're like, we didn't say that, and it's like, yeah, but y'all is though, right? And that's where the disconnect comes from, right? That I'm gonna play the clip first.
Reverse trick them into telling on themselves. Because I'm an advocate for family. See, I've been married for 20 years. I don't have a roster.
Absolutely.
I don't have a roster.
Cream of the crop.
I'm the person, I'm the personification of what a black man is supposed to be.
That was cute.
No.
That was so
Where's the bar in hell?
I love that.
Ciao. He is out of wedlock, super successful. He around me is taken care of. And I'm a representation of what a lot of them is. I just so happen to have a microphone. True.
You don't qualify.
Now, when you see that, right, you gotta go watch that whole conversation. It's called The Rant, and it's on the Anton Daniels channel on YouTube, right? So first thing you gotta understand is that I always say that black people is not a monolith, and because there's not no one thing, like, so like you hear a lot of people say black people in America don't have no culture, and you hear a lot of weird shit that people say, but like, here's the reality, right? Within black people in America, you have 3 distinct types of black people, right? And when you say black Americans, you think that these 3 types of people are interchangeable, but they're not, right? So let me show you what I mean. So, but because they cross on so many different angles, it's like, yo, we're black. So, right. So I understand what Anton Daniels is saying, right? He's saying that if you're going to be a black man, right, and you want to be a black man, then you should be a good version of the black man, right? The problem is I already did some dumb shit like in my youth. I've already been a criminal and did all the dumb shit that niggas do, right? So like it goes like, yeah, but I identify with how, if you see how the women are like talking to him like he's a lame. So like, right? And it's like, yo, I know because I'm the nigga in the hood that views him as a lame, right? So it becomes like when I step back and I go like, really? I think that I was the lame. right? So it becomes like, hold on, like let me get this right now, right? Because now when I'm sitting here at 40 and now it's me and him looking at each other in the eyes, and it's like, yeah, he got the bag the right way. He's doing everything that he's supposed to be, and I'm sitting here trying to figure it out. And it be like, now it becomes like, right? You can't personalize with somebody be like, yo, Gramz, you broke. It's like, yeah, I know. I'm trying to figure it out. I did a lot of dumb shit. I'm trying to get it right. And then I see him and he like, oh nah, he was kind of like, I see what he's saying. The problem with the women is, right? Like when you are like a young hood nigga in the hood, like, right, you could catch a felony that could take you out forever, right? But you could catch a felony and you could bounce back in life and get your shit back, right? The mistake with women becomes children. It becomes like, it's really like no bouncing back from that, right? Because it's equivalent. It's not even equivalent. It's a debt, right? It's a debt that the woman specifically has. That $230,000 debt that she now has with each child, and you need to know that to raise a child from 0 to 18 is $230,000. So, like the reason why you do need fathers and why you do need men and why they're both right in the conversation if you go back and watch the whole conversation, but it's just that they were at odds, so it's no resolution. So, right? There should be discipline taught the young men and there should be discipline taught the young women. And the only way that this can be taught to you is in your household, right? So this is why I said the foundation of this whole conversation has to be family and the importance of family, right? You can't condemn nobody for how they're living. You can't condemn nobody for what they're doing and what's going on. What we have to do, right, is get together and say, all right, so what's going on? What's actually happening and why is it not effective? What is it doing and why is it not productive, right? Because when you hear people talk, it's about economic success, like, right? And if the black dollar goes into the neighborhood, right, and then leaves immediately, we need to understand why, right? And if there's no unification, then let's start with that, right? And I'm going to spill back into what my issue is with the red pill community in a second. Let me just go down to breaking down the 3 distinct different types of black people so we can understand where this all started, like in the 1950s or the 60s, where they say they broke up the black families. You got to understand, right? What were the types of black people at that time? That is like super important, right? Because and let me tell you why it's important to understand this. History changes. Like what they doing with this Mandela effect is very, very conniving. And you gotta pay attention. If you don't know what the Mandela effect is, you gotta Google that, right? It's real conniving if you really think about what they up to, right? And what made it click to me is when Cameron had to explain listen, Cameron had to explain that him and 50 Cent had a rap beef. And I'm sitting there like, that shit didn't happen that long ago. And then when I thought about it, I'm like, damn, that shit did happen a minute ago. That shit happened so long ago that he had to explain. But to me, it was like, that shit just happened. And it was like, but it didn't just happen. And that's how fast time is going. And this a generation that wasn't listening to the radio when fucking Cameron called up and 50 Cent was up there and they got the beefing back and forth and they didn't see BET The Basement when Jim Jones went down there and he was down there with so because when he getting there explaining it like he just went up to the show and did the rap show, but Jim Jones is leaving out the whole fact that he was at BET in the basement with 50 Cent, like, and 50 was playing chess. So like, then that's a whole nother. I'm sorry, I went left field, right? But that's what let me understand the importance of history. History is important. Who's telling the history and the why you're getting the history. And once again, I'm going to go back to it should come from your peoples. Like you should come from your parents. Your dad should be wise and intelligent and he should be able to tell you what's going on. And your mom should be able to be wise and intelligent and tell you what's going on, right? Because you got to understand that in the 1950s and 60s, right? You got to remember that, J. Edgar Hoover hated Martin Luther King. I want you to, listen to what I'm trying to tell you, right? J. Edgar fucking Hoover hated Martin Luther King. Why? And you like, nah, because he was black and he was racist. That's surface level shit. Like, right? It's J. Edgar Hoover hated Martin Luther King. He ain't like Malcolm. He ain't like the Nation of Islam. He didn't like the whole black militant movement, the civil rights movement. He didn't like none of that. But he despised Martin Luther King. Why? Because Martin Luther King represented God and then family. So he had to destroy it. So when they go on and they got this like smear campaign going on about whatever, about the brother, but it might be true. You got to understand that it was a war against the black family, against black discipline, against black knowledge, right? It was going on the colleges. It was going on in the hoods. It was going on, right? And what it bred was pride, right? It bred a black identification, right? So when people go on to say that there's no such thing as institutional racism, you have to understand that your home is your institution, right? That's the first institution that you grow up in. That's the first institution that frames your mind, and everything is mental. So you need to understand that your mind paints how you see everything. So you need to understand that everything is mental, so you have to keep your mind right. You got to get your body right, work out. You got to eat right, eat clean, but make sure you keep your mind sharp. They trying to eliminate reading. I don't fucking recommend it, right? Like, we're going to start with this. They trying to eliminate reading. They trying to make it to where your kids is blasé about reading. If you want to be able to have empathy and understand how other people think, you have to be able to read, and have to be able to read different genres. You have to be able to read when you like it. You have to be able to read when it's uncomfortable. You have to be able to read the research, but you need to read and write. They're trying to eliminate that out of fucking kids. They're trying to Mandela that effect. How about that? Right? So what we had at that time was three distinct types of black people. We had the black bourgeois, the black bourgeoisie, you know what I'm saying? We had the black militants, and then you had the black poor. There was other different types of black people, of course, right? Like I always tell you that being black is not a monolith, but at the same time, right, these three distinct groups were targeted because these are in life there's hierarchies, right? We all know that. Don't make me go into that back and forth, understand banter, right? In life there's hierarchies, right? So when you have the black bourgeoisie, they have access to politics. They have access to good education in the HBCUs, right? What you have is access. You have knowledgeable people. This group of black people should, would, and will, and have to breed scientists, has to breed philosophers, has to breed doctors. It has to breed all of the things that we need as a people to excel just as civilized people, right? Then there was the black militants, which would breed what? Security fronts, right? Unfortunately, the black militants turned into what we know now as gangs, right? So you have to ask yourself, is that by accident or is that on purpose? Are the gangs actually terrorizing their neighborhoods or are they actually not? You don't know. Is it being proper? Because you got to understand, propaganda is a different type of tool, right? And when you really think about it, right? Cicero said, cultivate the minds. Why would he say that? Why would Cicero say cultivate the minds? Why would he say that though? Yo, why would the top media companies be all owned by the same type of companies? Like, why would they all be like split up like the seven? What is like the big seven? Why do they control what you hear, see, and understand? Everything is mental. So you got to understand that your foundation of your mind should be molded by people that care about you, because everybody else that is dealing with your brain, is playing games with you. People that love you should mold and shape your mind first to think, because people will think for you, and then you'll be sitting there thinking, you'll be operating under the guise of, that's your thoughts. You thought that. You the one who formulated that, and you wanted to go on a drill, and you wanted to sell drugs, and you wanted to scam, and it's the only way to do it. And yo, brainwash yourself into thinking that that's how you think, and then one day you'll just wake up like, that was like retarded. Why the fuck did I think like that? And you'll be trying to figure it out, like, nah, because I really, like, I thought that shit made sense. Like, and I'm sitting here thinking about it, like, why did I think that made sense? Like, why? Yo, why the fuck did I think that was okay? Let's just go with that. Like, who told you thought standing outside selling drugs in broad daylight in front of everybody was okay? With your pants hanging all the way down, with the long ass shirt on, and the big stupid hat, and the big ass earrings in your hair, and just on the block talking mad shit all day with weed, smoking, hiding it from the police. You thought that was cool, Grammy? Yep. Yo. I be thinking like kind of like off kilter sometimes, like, right? Before I end this, and I'm gonna get off this, right? And I'm gonna get y'all part two probably later on today or tomorrow. But right, I be thinking like this, like, yo, I was in the streets and I know that the niggas that I was running with, like some of them niggas couldn't read. And them niggas was cool. Like, these niggas was cool niggas. Like not like, yo, that's my man. He cool. Like, nah, he's cool. Like, in his neighborhood, like, mad people follow him. Like, he got 4 baby mothers out here. That's my man, but I know he can't read. Like, what? I'm trying to figure out, like, how he even is getting pussy. Like, I know he can't read. Like, what you talking about? Like, he can't shop for his clothes, can't read. Like, so as the world fucking turns and my blunt burns, I'm trying to fucking figure this out. And let me get y'all, I fucking strayed off from, like, the whole topic. I know, like, I was fucking rambling. I didn't want to ramble. Like, the whole point that I was trying to make is, like, that family is important, right? So I'm not even going to drag it. Like, family is important. And I mean, getting to why family is important. I had all my notes here, all that. I was ready to go in and all that. I was going to talk about finances, financial literacy. We're going to get into all of that in the Marty Gramz Show on a weekly basis. Check me out. I was going to cook Melissa Ford, but I felt it was going to be counterproductive. I'm not really trying to argue with people on the internet, right? If you don't like what I'm saying, cool. Fucking get a doggy biscuit. I don't give a fuck. Whoa. It's like, it's for the betterment of the people. I do this for the culture. It's the Marty Gramz Show.